So we are all here in KCD, New York, and this is title and the topic of the conversation that we are going to have today. Before sitting, I will just tell you that the title is about platform engineering. Also, we will talk about AI, security, FinOps, and other things. These are our faces, and now we can start, finally, with the presentations. So I will start from me. I'm the first one, right on the left, Fabrizio, Chief Engineer at Veritas Automata, and I do platform engineering, but I started 35 years ago when this word was not used, so you can imagine how much time and old I am. Graziano.
I am Graziano Casto, based out of Italy, out of Milan in Italy. I am a DevRel engineer in Akamas. We are focusing more on the observability and efficiency side of the platform now, but I spent the last 5 years working in the platform engineering field. Other than that, I am a co-chair for the TAG developer experience and a Kubernetes contributor, so I can wear different hats speaking about platforms.
Thank you. Hi, my name is Dolis. I am a solution architect of Nirmata. Nirmata is basically the creator of Kyverno. And I'm also a CNCF ambassador. I'm based out of Toronto, Canada.
Hi, I'm Alessandro, and I'm an open source engineer on SysDic. I'm based in Italy, and actually I'm a Falco security maintainer. So basically, I deal with all the stuff on the open source ecosystem for the security.
Hi, I'm Marina. I'm a research scientist at Adera, where I help build a hardened runtime for containers, really looking at the kind of container isolation, secure multi-tenancy side. And I'm also one of the co-chairs of CNCF TAG Security and Compliance. So kind of do a bunch of random things in cloud-native security.
So one thing for the people here of the technical management, the counter is not ticking, so we will not have the bomb explosion at the end of the 30 minutes. It's just 30 forever. We are all saved, basically. I don't know if you have to start something here. We could start to think about that.
We can watch the time, too.
Yeah, we have the clocks, don't we?
I have my watch here counting, so I will be able to eventually drop the bomb when it's time.
30 minutes.
So we will talk starting about the concept of platform engineering. Today, when we think about platform engineering, we will have a lot of literally domains inside of it. We were having a nice conversation earlier because we were talking about, is platform engineering the big container, or are all of these domains small container that are creating and populating platform engineer? So it's a big entropy. We don't know where the boundaries are and how to manage that. So the literal colliding on all of these things that are domains of platform engineering is what we are going to consider today. Initially, by our experience, sharing what we think and what we have as use cases. But at the same time, at the end, trying to find with you all a solution or some ideas that will give us in this era that is so nice because we have a lot of humans and artificial intelligence acting together. They are not the only domains. We also have security, observability that is still very important for everything. So test-driven development, behaviors, FinOps, costs, and we could start thinking about who really owns all of these domains. So when we talk about costs, I look at my pocket, but I'm not the one that is spending money in my company. Are developers thinking about the cost? If you manage a company, generally it will be very hard to have accountable people. But there are a lot of people that are just spending money. So in developer experience, the feeling of costs and what is related to what developers should be accountable for is the first starting point.
Yeah. Exactly. You introduced the problem of the cost, but we are always biased to think about cost in terms of measuring it in dollars. The point, dollars, euros, whatever, cash. Okay. The point here is that the total cost of ownership of the platform, but of any engineering initiative, is always measured in different levels, which is cost. In the case of the platform, could be the infrastructure where the platform is running and the infrastructure made available through the platform to run your application, for example. But there is also the engineering hour that the people are spending to build the platform. Usually the platform is built by platform engineers, but these engineers' hours spent there, if you are building a proper platform, are saved to the developers, and with developers I mean all the engineers, all the users of the platform, which are not only people writing code, are saved in their time, so they are compensated, okay? The other thing, you talked about entropy, okay?
How?
Entropy is a complex topic. So the point is that if you end up adding only entropy, only complexity, you probably are doing something wrong, okay? Because at the end of the day, the point of the platform is a glue between tools, but not meaning that you are aiming to add only tools to a sort of stack just to collect them, but you are starting seeing a problem and trying to find a solution through the platform. It's always a matter of interaction built by the platform engineers, but they are not reinventing the wheel because platform engineers inherently are outside the product team. So their job is to understand what is working into these different teams and to standardize this process and make them available to the other people. But they are not adding new complexity. They are facilitating the work, using what already existing, that what the other are doing and made it available to the others.
So one point is cost, one point is entropy and disorder, and then we talked about time is money. In security and strategies, I think that time that is given the hurry to act is the decision maker that starts first.
Yeah, that's a good point. Well, basically, when we thought about security, we thought about a bunch of security policies, and we can imagine that security for platform engineering, but not only for that, it's like the locking system of your house, the alarms, and so on and so forth. But what happens if all these securities are broken, and so the danger is inside your house? So the topic is really complex, and this complexity, it's cost for who manages the security inside your company. And so everything is about finding a balance between what is the purpose of your security in your company, what is the purpose of what you want to secure, and which is the trade-off that you want to reach to find the best solution to secure your stuff. And so what I would like to say that the security is not only policies, but it's not only real-time detection, it's not only reaction time, it's a set of stuff that works together and that respects the governance and the costs that you expect for your company and for the stuff that you want to secure. And so
just to add to what you're saying, so when we talk about security, security is basically you are imposing best practices. So you are, whatever you want your developers to say that you should do this or you should not do this, you're basically just defining it in security and telling them that way. That way you have a control of the environment, but still they get the self-serviceness, the independence that they can deploy and create and be independent. Now, a couple of things that we touched is security also helps when we talk about best practices, when we talk about cost. One aspect of cost is labeling. Like how do you want to charge back, and how do you want to make sure that which vertical is costing more? You want to add label. Now that is a best practice. You want every developer to have a label for their application. You can do it using security, you can do it using policies, or you can do it using other security aspects to make sure that every developer has a label. So when we think about security, often we think that security is about this thing which one should do or not, but when we think about security, it's a very bigger aspect in terms of imposing best practices. That best practices could be from your cost to resource optimization, to your compliances, to your runtime security, or to just policies telling them what to do, what not to do.
Yeah, and one thing I would add to that too is it's also just about, security doesn't have to always be a burden for every single person. I think there's a lot of discussion around this idea of like shift left. Oh, everyone needs to be thinking about security. And I think especially as platform teams, there's this opportunity to, yes, shift left, people should be thinking about security, but also just design the security in. Every single developer doesn't need to think about it if you just build it into the platform, and it's the automatic way to do it, right? So just making those good defaults easy things to do so that it's easy to make it secure, and it's not like an extra thing you have to add on your developers. They're just trying to make the application that works. As the platform engineer, you can make that easy for them to also be secure.
Yeah,
so
there is an open question about that.
Yeah.
Who has the responsibility
Yes.
about leverage that? And I think that we gave to the developers all the alarms, all the management of the CVs, all the management of the guardrails to be put inside your pipelines. And that's fine, it's the foundation of the security. But we didn't give them all the context and all the answer to leverage what is important and what is not.
Exactly, because if they don't understand the whole complexity of the system, they're not even in the right place to do the security, right? They have to work with the platform team, yeah.
When we talk about shift left, this is a trendy word. Sometimes it feels that it's just shift left to the trash. But it's not, because if you shift left, you have to take the ownership and accountability for what you are shifting left. I was curious about you, especially because you work in research. So how is different from production, where we have the stress of working under pressure?
Yeah.
When you work in a laboratory or a sort of test lab, and you have to comply with all of this?
Yeah, I think it's similar and it's different, right? I think that in research, like your idea is that you have some hypothesis, you're trying to design stuff to kind of figure out, is that true? How does the world work? And I think in designing platforms, I think it's actually kind of similar, right? You have a theory about how your users are going to use the platform. Maybe you've talked to them, maybe it's a good theory, and then you try and build to that theory. So I think it's similar, but as you said, I think one of the differences is the constraints. Because I think, do you have to roll it out in production tomorrow, or do you have time to really think through all of the pieces and how they fit together before you have to kind of go to your users?
So one point is that I feel that generally here probably we are all stressed by production, but sometimes also when you are working in a laboratory, it's very hard to find the balance for getting not just on security, but on cost calculation, observability planning, and policies, like in example, what you do, and also how the developer will be reacting, the team. When we were talking together, me and you, I think it was months ago, and you were giving me an idea
I'm
about—
scared now, okay.
Yeah, an idea of that survey. To go researching how people are doing things to get answers. So for me, on a point for this conversation that we are having, among the solutions that we could talk about is ask. Because generally the user experience or the developer experience is where you find not answers, but at least hints from where to start. And you have to do the right questions.
Yeah.
So you remember how much time we spent finding those questions.
This is a good example, actually. Platform itself is a tricky field to understand, because we are not talking about a database, for example. Everyone has a common understanding of what a database is. Platform is not actually a proper tool, which is, I'm talking about a platform. I have 5 years of experience in building platforms, and every different company I saw built a different platform, because it's more like a cultural shift. You need to understand first what is your need, and then build the most affordable solution that help your engineers to work with what they already have. This is another thing or another way to think of the platforms itself. Because most of the times people are focusing only on the technological side of the platform without thinking at the socio-technical part. We talking about security, about the imposing standards, which is completely fine for something that is secure, that is as security, okay? The problem is that you can afford to impose a standard if we are talking about security, because that way you are building a tool, the platform, that allow engineers to build secure application by design. This is more like shifting down than shifting left. If we are talking about infrastructure or observability or whatever, you don't have to build something that is strict and opinionated, because you are dealing with a lot of people and they need to have the ability, the freedom to exit from this path if they need, because you can't be sure that you are covering all the possible edge cases. So start always by thinking at what the other guys are building inside the company and try to get the easiest way to solve the problem, taking in consideration what the other are doing, and standardize them to make it available to the other. You don't need to reinvent the wheel. 90% of the times you already have all the things already there. I'm working on different talks about how to embed an efficiency layer in the platform. We can start talking about hundreds of tools to do this. But the truth is that a common baseline of observability layer is already there. I assume that everyone here has some kind of telemetry already for their application. The point is that you need to standardize it in a way that the platform engineers can simplify the life of people that are analyzing this data and let the developers find what the data they need directly into GitHub PRs, for example. They don't need to reinvent a wheel or took some other project into the CNCF landscape. This is not the way to do platforms.
Yeah. So in your case, because you work on another side of the coin, giving solutions to customers. So a part of the developers he was talking about, we are trying to get the ecosystem of whoever is working on the problem of the domains of platform engineering will have. But you are alone at the beginning. You are alone with your solution. When it's time to start thinking about this collision, so you define policies. How is your approach?
So every solution is different, depends upon where the user or customer wants to achieve, what the success looks like. Are they looking for cost optimization? Are they looking for best practices? Are they looking for developer experience? Are they looking for different ideas, as you were saying, different cultural aspect that we have to consider as well. But generally, we build solution looking at three different aspects. First is, it should be easily integrable in their existing environment. We shouldn't, as he said, not reinvent the wheel where we are trying to just replace the entire tool stack. Make sure that it is easily integrable in their tool set, in their daily life, so that their developers do not have to rethink or redo a bunch of things. Second is having early feedback. Whenever you're building a solution for developers, and that comes under developer experience, how do you make sure that a developer has a good experience? If he knows from day one, probably have plugins in VS Studio Code, like from the day he or she starts coding, if they're getting alerts like this is going to violate the best practices, then it's going to give early feedback for them. And that's the best definition of shift left. They shouldn't get a surprise when they deploy it in production saying that they cannot deploy it because it's violating something. Where was that violation a month back when they were building the application? So that helps to increase or enhance the developer experience. And third is having a phased rollout of any tools. Like when you're looking at CNCF ecosystem and when you think about these 5 tools, do not just grab all these 5 tools and start making a solution out of it. Probably 1 and 2 and see how it is coming up, because you'll have a lot of feedback that you have to put back in the solution. So it's a phased approach rather than just boom, done all by itself. So if you just follow these 3 practices when you're designing any solution, easy integration, developer, end user, I would say, not even developer, whoever is the end user of that solution, good experience of the end user, and then phased rollout of the solution. That many times in my experience becomes a successful solution that customers could adopt entirely in their environment.
Yeah, and I really like that definition of kind of shift left, where like, yes, you are shifting left and letting people make those decisions early, but you're also in some ways like shifting the alerting left and not the responsibility. Responsibility kind of still is like, is later in the system to like do the final checks to make sure that, you know, you're also adding, you know, security layers on top of the application, but yeah, you can shift that kind of alerting, and at least an infrastructure approach to shift left, right? That's the...
Yeah, I would like to talk about the elephant in the room.
It's very big.
It's very big.
It can fit here. Yeah.
There is an elephant in the room that is the AI. Now, we can talk about the AI on every aspect. I know that between us, there are different opinions about the AI. There is someone that thinks that AI is on top on the platforms, on platform engineering, and someone else that thinks that it's just another silos inside the platform engineering, right, Graziano? And the idea is that what is happening right now with the AI in the topic of platform engineering is that right now, in a cloud-native environments, but also not cloud-native, what we designed, what we expect from workloads that runs inside our infrastructures, what we define as a policies, what we define as everything that is part of platform engineering, has been more or less what happened also in the reality. With the AI, usually this is the opposite. Yeah. And this is the real problem. It's a problem of cost because everything explodes on the leverage, on the management of the AI tools, AI workloads, but also about observability, because it's really difficult to observe, to understand what is happening under the hood. And if it's what is happening is respecting the policies that you enforces during your pipelines, during your YAML definition, and so on and so forth. And also about what to do if the AI at runtime in the reality doesn't do what do you expect. Because when it happens, the danger is in your house and you have to react. So it's not just a matter right now to secure the AI, because we have seen, all of us have seen that also the best sandboxes have been broken from the AI. So we have not to hide behind the half finger in this case. We have to say, okay, what we will do when AI doesn't do what we want?
So we are practically running out of time. You can see how this discussion can become really, really interesting and requires hours. Before of this, we were talking for hours. One thing that I would like you to have as a takeaway is that we agreed that doing small things extraordinarily well is reducing complexity, the solution for solving all of these collisions that we talked about. So process one small thing at a time. I will just give you the QR codes here so that we have 1 minute to close it. And magic. Practically, I think that we will all convene that having a solution that is starting from small things will solve all of these questions and problems that in a laboratory context, in security, in policies as code, developer experience, platform engineering as team leading, so trying to listen to people and human in the loops also, we will have the solution. So I think we can go for a small time for questions, if any. They are very welcome. If not, I think we are on time.
Yeah, yes,
10 seconds. Question. Be kind, please. Oh.
Hi. The philosophy of doing, making small tools to do one thing. was one of the original design principles behind Unix.
Yeah.
So I'm glad to see that it's survived the test of
So
time.
many years, Cheryl, and we still have that.
I think we should leave the stage to the organizers for the closing remarks.
If you throw tomatoes, we have a recipient for that. But yeah, feel free to ask us questions, because generally better questions are coming when you are cold thinking about what we talked about. And there is a use case for everyone. So thank you for joining. We will repeat this experience because I liked it a lot.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.